Hello all, welcome back to Consciousness Rising. It's been quite a while since my last video, but it does take me a while to do these slides and get them out on them. And obviously I've been busy with work and things like that, but today I'm going to be talking about the crowd consciousness and individuation. You might have heard me talk about individuation before. It does come from Carl Jung, but it's sort of like the end goal of therapy. And indeed, I think in many ways it's the goal of life, to individuate. What does it mean to individuate? I'm going to explore that in this video. I've never ever gone along with any crowds, institutions or anything like that. From a very early age, just talking about my personal life a little bit, I was always a very strong individual soul. I never really went along with what everyone else was doing. But you know, that's because I do believe I've got a different level of consciousness. You know, and everyone's different, but the crowd to me is just the worst place to be. But I'm going to explore a lot of these themes in this video, and you know what, my work on these videos, as I've said, I do it for myself as well, but I do it in order that some people might find some benefit and use to some of these videos. I'm not interested in, you know, the global elites. I'm not interested in crowds. I'm not interested in going to stand in a park. I'm not interested in going to join any freedom rally. You know, freedom is attitudinal. Most people don't understand that, which is why you'll find my videos are much more to do with psychology, because most people leave that at the door because they have no understanding of any deep psychology at all. You know, and we are living in a very anti-psychological age, unfortunately, and I'm hoping to sort of like add my little part to the internet world, just to talk about these themes and stuff. So yeah, my videos are always about psychology. I'm not interested in the events, what's going on. Anyway, that being said, let's get on. A quote. I was going to start with a quote from Gustave Le Bon, who wrote a brilliant book on the crowd. He says, "The masses have never thirsted after truth. Whoever can supply them with illusions is easily their master. Whoever attempts to destroy their illusions is always their victim." Powerful statement. And he's absolutely right. And I highly recommend, you know, a lot of what I want to do in these videos is lead you down, you know, I'm very aware that I stand on the shoulder of giants. And hopefully, you know, I want to lead people into maybe exploring some of these themes for themselves, you know. Go and find his book. Brilliant quote, that is. You will not find truth in a crowd. You can only find it within. And my work's all about that, going within. So, why do people seek crowds? And I've written it there. You know, and that makes me laugh. We need to change. Yeah, no one wants to change themselves, though. They always want to change the world and go, you know, fight all the battles and, you know, be virtuous and all this crap. No one wants to change themselves. Start with yourself, love. Take that sign down and go home. But anyway, yeah. People seek crowds in order to flee from their own guilt and shame. And that guilt and shame sometimes comes from the true self and is there for a reason. I've never ever been one, if you watch my videos, to shy away from that stuff, because what I go on about a lot is shadow work. Shadow work needs to be done. And this really, you know, jumping into a crowd or a collective or an institution or whatever, lining up with Black Lives Matter or whatever it is, I don't care what it is all about avoiding shadow work and true psychological, deep spiritual change, because that's what shadow work is. Which is why you won't find that in the New Age movement either. But anyway, yeah, that's what it is. People seek it to flee from guilt and shame. This is very deep. I'm only scratching the surface with this, but that guy on the left there is a guy called Otto Rank. He was a psychologist who come from the school of Freud, but he kind of went on his own, and he's got a lot of really interesting ideas, actually. And what he says is that we're constantly, you know, a lot of human beings, the trauma, he's got a book called The Trauma of Birth, which I've got, and he talks about that actually a lot of us psychologically want to return to the womb. Now that is very deep and probably requires its own video, but I'm not going to go into that today. So what he's saying is that the crowd itself is actually a surrogate womb. It's a place to be surrounded by everyone else and to escape and go back into that comfort. So therefore, joining a crowd is actually psychological regression. Because to want to go back to the womb is to be like a newborn baby again. This is all about advocating responsibility, personal responsibility, shadow work, all that stuff. Join a collective. It's so much easier to just go along with everyone else and be a sheep, you know. Very deep topics, but I just wanted to include that there because I might cover some of his work maybe later down the line. But yeah, it's psychological regression to go and join a crowd. And to be honest, you know, these worldwide freedom rallies and all this, if you just watch the way they behave, you always got Billy the bongo player. That's why you've always got, like, you know, if you ever go to a crowd and, you know, there's face painting for kids and all this crap, what are you doing? You're not going to change anything like that. It's psychological regression and infantilism. That's what it is. That's why I'll never join any of them. The crazy part, as I've put there, is that a group doesn't even exist. It's actually all in the mind. It's mind games. It's a phantasmagoria. Groups are just collections of individuals. We are individuals. We are not, you know, we're not meant to be herded like sheep, you know. And the individual is society's greatest enemy, as I've written there, and that goes, you know, where they want to steer the world. The individual is the greatest enemy because he stands against that. He stands outside the crowd and goes, "Fuck you! I'm not joining your what because I don't agree with it. I walk to my own beat in life." And someone said that about me when I did my counselling training. She put some things about me. She said Darren walks to his own rhythm, and she's actually true. Which is actually right. You know, they want to crush these collectivists, these globalists, these elitists, whatever you want to call them, Illuminati, whatever. It doesn't really matter. They want to crush individualism, and the individual who stands up against it is their greatest enemy. That's what it's all about. Getting everyone to think the same, and they want people to regress. They want people to be like infants again, because then they, you know, when you're an infant, you need looking after. That's why we've got this nanny state that we have. But anyway, and this is the crux of the matter. The noise of the crowd drowns out the voice of the self, which no one wants to face. Most people, you know, if anything, this whole corona thing and everything that we went through the last 2.5 years, what it's taught me more than anything is how so many people are morons. And it's sad, and that's why there will never be a mass awakening. Anyone that still believes that is under complete delusions. There is no mass awakening because it doesn't start in groups, and the word mass, it's an individual thing, very personal thing, you know. And yeah, that's what, again, another reason people want to join a crowd, because then they don't have to face themselves, they don't have to do the shadow work or any of that stuff, just because then they don't have to identify as a unique expression of consciousness and individual, which is what everyone is. They identify as feminism, or yeah, I identify as Black Lives Matter. It's all a mask, all a show. I cannot talk about individuality and crowd consciousness without mentioning this fantastic TV show. I think it's in the 60s it was filmed. I've actually got it on Blu-ray. It's one of my favourite shows of all time. One of the, as I've put there, one of the greatest TV shows of ever, about the individual's fight against the insanity of the crowd, is The Prisoner. The guy on the right there, he's the main character in it. He gets labelled number 6, but the actor's called Patrick McGowan, and he could see all this coming down the pipeline. To me, what a sage. He knew in the 60s of where society was headed, and he tried to warn us about it in a great show like this, and it is phenomenal. I probably try and watch it every year, because I just get so much from it. It's very, very deep. It's very allegorical. It's not going to give you all the answers. You have to do a lot of the thinking. And it's basically, he was asked in a interview, what, because the whole show revolves around, I don't want to give too much away, but this character on the right, like I say, who comes to be known as Number Six, we don't actually learn his real name, because everyone in the he wakes up in this village, right? He wakes up in this village, and everyone is given a number. They've got their own credit system, and it's run by Number Two, and you never really find out who Number One is, and it's like, it's all about collectivism. Go along with the crowd, become part of this idyllic village. And this is where I think Aldous Huxley and Orwell, they both had very interesting ideas about the future and where it was going. And 1984 is a great book, and so is Brave New World. But I actually think Huxley has nailed it. He's actually got it more right in Brave New World, and I think The Prisoner kind of it goes along with that in a way, because they're all smiling nutcases. It's all about pleasure, and it's a very different way to control people. But this is a fantastic show, and I mean, I could do videos just on this. But my mind, if you've not seen already, is very eclectic, and it goes to very different areas. But yeah, it's a fantastic show, and it's all about how they want some information from him, but he absolutely will not bend to their will. It is basically about the individual's fight against the crowd, and he will not bend, he will not break. He is a complete individual. It's a fantastic show. Talk a little bit about individuation then. What does it mean to individuate? It does come from Carl Jung, and these are his words. I will try to explain the term individuation as simply as possible. By it, I mean the psychological process that makes of a human being an individual, a unique, indivisible unit or whole man. And like I said, he actually saw the path of individuation as the end goal of therapy, because you unfuck yourself, basically. You undo all of society's programming, from whether that be from your parents, from teachers, from schooling, from big pharma, from all. You have to strip all of that away. You have to face your programming, and then you reprogram yourself, and you become the arbiter of your own soul, and you direct your life. Screw everyone else. I cannot say that enough. It is about that. It's about becoming who you really are. What makes you unique? Don't ever lose that. We are all one and all this crap. I don't even like that anymore. We are individuals. We are individuals having a very unique soul experience here on this earth plane. But that's his way of explaining what is individuation. And I've written there myself, it's undoing of all programming from society. Like I said, you have to go back and you have to think, well, why do I do the things I do? Why do I believe this? No one. These are not even hard questions. You just sit alone in contemplation, without the voice of all the crap and the crowd and the collective, and you go within. This is true spirituality. Not sitting on your hands and knees and going, doing this work. You don't even have to meditate to be spiritual. You discover what makes you a unique individual. What is it about you that's so unique? And what do you like to do? Don't let anyone take that away from you, because people do come in and they try and say, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Well, fuck their opinions. Fuck them. I had that in childhood. Sometimes I was really, really into, and still am, I don't have a lot of time for it anymore, but I was really into film as an art form, as a means to express myself, and go on a journey. There's something very deep about that. And I remember someone in the family was like, why are you into that? Well, because I fucking want to be. That's what makes me unique. Don't try and steer my fucking consciousness. And everyone should have that level of individuality, because I was always like that. I could never be swayed like that. Never went along with all this crap. Always did what I wanted to do. And that eventually leads you to what I've put there at the bottom, walking in Dharma. You know your own life's purpose. I know what my life's purpose is, and I walk it every day. And I feel truly, I feel great. I feel happy. I feel content. I know who I am. Yeah, I've got shortcomings. I'm not perfect. But when you walk in Dharma, you are being who you truly are meant to be. You understand your own soul's purpose. That is individuation. I love the works of Ayn Rand, particularly her fiction. She says that she nails it right there. Civilization is the process of setting man free from men. She had a lot to say about this subject, and that's why I love her work so much. I would highly recommend all her books. Especially, I mean, they're all fantastic, but The Fountainhead's brilliant. I particularly loved Atlas Shrugged. That was very interesting. And you'll notice that a lot of these people, like her, smeared, jeered, mocked. And what's funny to me is most of the people that sort of try and say negative things about her haven't even read a fucking word she wrote. Have no idea and just go along with what everyone else says. Don't be like that. Be yourself. And she wrote some great work on individuation. Michael Tsarian. The first stage for the attainment of selfhood is abstraction from the mass. It is differentiation and individuation, and a deliberate sectioning off of one's own intelligence from that of mankind. It is a commitment to find out what makes one different rather than the same as everyone else. Absolutely nails it with that. What makes you different? Don't go along with what makes everyone the same. That's boring. People like that are just so boring to me. They're so dead inside. What is it that makes you unique? Are you fantastic at, algebra? Are you amazing at playing the guitar? Are you naturally gifted at painting? Are you an empath? Are you deeply interested in psychology like me? Whatever it is, doesn't matter. Are you, I don't know. Are you into high wire acts? Are you into juggling? Whatever it is, what makes you different? Go with. A big problem with a lot of people is they don't go with their heart's desire. They don't follow what they actually enjoy doing, and then they end up miserable because they've given their life away to the collective and the crowd. It's much better to be an individual. He says, I'm continuing on here, and the reason there is a leaf and a snowflake there is for a very important reason. I just want to touch on that before I read the quote. Like he says, by nature, he often points out, Michael Tsarian, that every snowflake is completely unique. Every leaf is completely unique. Nature does not do a copy. Everything is unique in nature. You are part of nature, so therefore you are unique. We're one. What a load of crap. Go with what makes you an individual. Anyway, I'll read the quote out. To be authentic means to go your own way and carve out your own world. Screw everyone else. Be headstrong. Be yourself. Brilliant. And the last word on it, I'm going to give to Carl Jung, because I think, he is you always see me use a lot of his work because I think he was a true sage. He really was. So he says, the bigger the crowd, the more negligible the individual becomes. And that's it. That's it in a nutshell. So yeah, this is why, and I'm glad that these videos have led me to this point. I've got loads more planned. I'm going to do one on archetypes next, perhaps. I'm going to break down the Joker movie. I've got one coming up on trauma, when I'm going to look at the different layers of trauma, because I'm kind of seeing trauma in a new light as well. I'm on a constant path of learning and discovery, and if you are getting something from these videos, I think that's brilliant, and that's all I ask. I do this just to share. These are just offerings. But yeah, his work is amazing. The bigger the crowd, the more negligible the individual becomes. Be yourself, guys. See you in the next one.